Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that was the problem. You couldn't hear me. I could. All right. So, welcome everybody to the call. It's about 7 o'clock, and we have people still joining. So I'm going to just say a few things. I have Melody Nielsen unmuted. Melody, I have a question for you. One thing that while people are still joining on the call, we are planning to have a photo opportunity at the Jonah Center on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Lynn Horton-Morrison is going to be available, and Shelby and I will drive over. We want to have a photo opportunity with the petitions. We're going to bring the boxes of petitions over to the Jonah Center, stand in front, and get a bunch of people around to show what these petitions look like. And it would be great if we could have a whole bunch of people. So, Melody, my question for you is, can you contact the Laramie County team and see who's available to take 10 minutes out of their day on Sunday and drive over to the Jonah Center around 3 o'clock and get into a picture of all of us standing around the box of petitions that we're going to bring to the legislature? Melody, what do you think?
Sure, I can do that. I can, and I'm sure that Vanda will get involved too, and she would help, and Jane. So there'll be a lot of us that could get people to come. Sure, 3 o'clock at the Jonah. Okay.
3 o'clock at the Jonah Center. Vanda, you're on the call. I have you unmuted. Can you be there?
I think so. I may have a commitment, but maybe I can pull away, or I'll make it earlier so I can get there by 3.
Okay. Great.
All right.
So why don't you, Melody and Vanda, if you could spread the word among the volunteers in Cheyenne, that would be great. The more people we have in the picture, the happier we're all going to be. So please go ahead and make those contacts.
Okay.
Melody, let's talk before you send out the email so we can also put a reminder for dark money in it.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, we can talk soon. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to now mute Vanda and Melody again. So people are joining the call. We've got a lot of people and more joining every minute. So this is great. We've got a big crowd already. I just want to remind everybody about how these calls work. Shelby and Shelby, I'm going to unmute you so you can join in too. So Shelby's unmuted. We have access to the list of people on the call, and in order to minimize background noise, we all start the call on mute with just a few people who are going to be speaking unmuted who can join in. And if you want to say something or you want to join the conversation, just type 1 on the keypad of your phone, and your hand goes up on my screen here. I can see who wants to speak, and then who I can call on them. And I see Marcy Shaver has her hand up. So Marcy, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Actually, I was trying to answer the yes, I can hear you thing.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good. So I will mute you. Shelby is on the call. Is there anything you want to say, Shelby?
Yeah, so I just want to say that I, due to my internet effectiveness at my new home outside of town, I do not have the conductor thing pulled up. So Ken is entirely in charge of that. So that's just what I wanted to say initially, just so Ken knows.
Okay, sounds good. I have the power. Yay. All right, so thank you for that, Shelby. And I see Lynn has joined us. Lynn, you are unmuted. You have your hand up?
Yes,
Go ahead.
may I stay unmuted for the duration of the call so
Sure.
all 3 of us can be active? Thank you.
Right, yeah. So Shelby, Lynn, and I, we're the original 3 committee of applicants. We're all on the call, and we are all now unmuted. So we'll be able to join in at any moment. So thank you all. We have a great group of people here. I really appreciate everybody joining the call tonight. And first I just wanted to express my deepest appreciation to everybody who's on this call. See a lot of our top volunteers here, a lot of great people who have put a lot of effort into this work we've been doing for the last 18 months, and it has been such an honor to be able to work with every one of you people, every one of the people on this call, and many others who aren't on the call, for everything we've been doing. I think we had the last account we had an official count of 299 volunteers who were circulating petitions. On top of that, we had another 20 or 30 people who were entering data, which turned out to be a pretty intensive effort, especially at the end there, who were running the data and putting it into the computer so we could figure out how many people we had. We had other people who were working on publicity. So we have a lot of fantastic volunteers. It's really, truly a grassroots effort that just was impressive to watch. And I feel so honored to have been able to be part of this group effort that got us so far. Shelby or Lynn, you want to add anything?
This is Lynn, and I don't think I can say it much better than Ken. Very deeply appreciative of all the great work that the volunteers did, and Ken and Shelby and I really are astounded by how people stepped up for this effort, and it's heartwarming, and big thank you to absolutely everyone. Thank you so much.
I would only add, I totally agree. I've met more people in the last 2 years, more people than in the last 2 years than I have in the last 12 years that I've lived in the state of Wyoming. And as treasurer of this effort and being behind it, I mean, there's no way we could do it on our own. And so many people stepped up, and it's amazing and a real honor. And but the thing is, we're not done yet. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, and we'll get to that real soon. There's a lot more that we have to do, but I just wanted to just start off with sincere thanks. I want to very briefly just go over the numbers. I sent around to everybody the final report that we have put together, which shows that we had a total of 20,255 validated signatures. We got a lot more signatures than that. We actually got over 25,000 signatures, but some of those were people's names we could not read, or we couldn't find them in the registration database. A few people couldn't remember if they had signed it before, so I signed it twice, so we excluded those. So the 20,255, we're very confident that they are valid, unduplicated signatures, and that's 52% of what we needed. That's halfway there. The 25,000 is a big number too. So a lot of people who wanted to join just couldn't, for whatever reason, they didn't count. As you all know, we had to get 15%, and that's a huge number. 15% of the total votes cast in the last general election statewide, but also 16 counties individually had to reach their 15% threshold as well. I'm very happy to say that 5 counties did that. So I want to single out for a special praise 5 counties plus 1. The 5 counties that made their thresholds, that made their 15% thresholds, were Albany, Bighorn, Fremont, Johnson, and Sheridan. So the Bighorn Mountain area has came through for us. Sheridan had the highest percentage. They got 135% of what they needed. That's fantastic. Johnson County right behind them at 134%, and of course Bighorn County just on the other side of the mountains got there too, 116%. That's fantastic work. Fremont, Albany also great work getting to your totals. I also want to shout out to Laramie County. Laramie County is the biggest county in the state. They had the highest number they had to get. They had to get 6,203 they ended up with 3,850, 62% of what they needed, which is pretty good. But it's also the biggest total number of signatures of any county anywhere. So the Laramie County team over in Cheyenne did fantastic work as well. So those 6 counties in particular did great work. I want to, and there's a lot of other people on the call who did fantastic work. I know we have some folks from Sweetwater that did a good job in Sweetwater. A lot of really excellent work. Park County, Lynn, you guys did a good job up there. So I just want to thank everybody for all the hard work and Washakie County actually was fairly high too, and that's pretty much one person. Phyllis Roseberry in Washakie County, of the 271 signatures gathered there, she got probably 200 of them herself or maybe more, so she was doing fantastic work. I just wanted to give that shout out to everybody who did all that hard work. So, Shelby or Lynn, you want anything you want to add there?
I wanted, this is Lynn, and I just wanted all the statewide volunteers to understand a little sense of perspective about this. Nationwide, where there are states that do allow ballot initiatives, the amount of signatures that are required are somewhere between 3 to 5% of the registered voters in those states. Wyoming, with the 15% requirement, has the highest requirement of any of the states. And when I talked with Senator Al Simpson, he said that was done deliberately. It was many years ago. They purposely made it extremely difficult. They didn't want to be like California, overrun by ballot initiatives. That's one of the reasons it's been over a quarter of a century, since there has been any ballot initiative that has had a successful petition drive. The other thing that we know, the committee of applicants and those of us on the steering committee, is that we have been told by our state legislatures that if we got 16 to 18,000 signatures, they're going to take notice. And so the fact that we got over 20,000 valid signatures is a big achievement moving forward.
Absolutely. I did some research earlier in the week. I went through and looked. I found there are 21 states in the country that allow something like what we're doing, a statute or resolution to be adopted by the Citizens Initiative. So of those 21 states, most of them, 15% is the highest. The next highest is 10% in a couple of states, and below that it's 8% and down as low as 3% in Massachusetts. So I counted them up, and of the 21 states, we got 7.9%, but some of the other 5,000 that we couldn't verify might have been verified by the Secretary of State. So we're close enough to 8% that if we count the 8% states, we would have been on the ballot. We would have qualified in 17 of the 21 states. We had enough in those 17 states. So the fact that we didn't succeed is not because of lack of effort. We had a huge effort. The problem is that the legislature, and actually this is a constitutional provision in the Wyoming Constitution that sets the 15%. It's the highest by far of any state that allows petition process. So that's the big reason why we didn't get there. I see that John Rivera has his hand up. So John, I've unmuted you. What's on your mind, John?
I'm sorry if I unmuted myself. I was just trying to figure out how this is. I can't see anything, so I was just playing with my food. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. I will put your hand down. Okay. So that's Shelby. Anything you want to add about what we've been talking about?
I want to jump. This may be jumping ahead just a little bit, but we, the steering committee level, we've been doing a fundraiser for the next push through the legislative session, which Ken will get to. But I want to do a special shout out to Lynn Horton-Morrison and Jen Lorenz for especially their work on sending out, I think it's, Lynn, you can correct me, but over 150 letters to folks across the state for fundraising. And we have raised close to $3,000 since that effort started for this next push. So definitely special thanks to those folks. It's a lot of hard work, and we greatly appreciate it. And that's exciting news about the fundraising especially. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay, and that kind of leads to the next thing I want to talk about, and that's probably what most of you want to hear about on the call, is why do we need money? What are we going to do with that money, and what's the next step? Because we're not done yet. I don't want to dwell on the fact that we didn't get enough signatures. I want to dwell on what can we do with those signatures to make this happen. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the legislature to try and get our bill through the legislature this coming session, starting in January. And we've got a lot of work going on right now, and the big piece of that is we have hired a lobbyist, and that's why we're doing the fundraising. We haven't yet raised quite enough to pay what they're charging us or what their fees are, but we're getting close. So we still need to continue raising money, and we do believe we'll be able to get enough money to pay the lobbyists, and that's already paying dividends for us. The way things get done, we've discovered, let me just go back 2 years ago when we started this project. It was just Lynn and Shelby and me at that time, and we went to the legislature with a bill that we got introduced. It was, as I said, just the three of us. It was a resolution that got introduced and was sent to the Corporations Committee and was recommended with a due pass out of the Corporations Committee. So we got a little ways with it, but it died on the House floor. But that was just the three of us doing the work, and we couldn't be there every day talking to people, finding out what's going on, working the floor. We've actually now hired a lobbyist who does have a good reputation, Lori Urbakite and Sherlyn, and I'm losing her last name. They have done a lot of work over the years. They're very experienced. They know the people. They know the legislators, and they are already talking to people right now and getting our petition in front of the right people who, and of course they work across the aisle. They get things done, and they're able to work with people from all sides of the aisle. I think that's the biggest news that we have right now is that we are in the process of finding sponsors, and generally Republican sponsors, for our bills to get them introduced and hopefully get them voted on. There are several bills right now at the Legislative Service Office, which is the support agency for the legislature where all bills start, and we hope to have these bills written and sponsored and ready to introduce on the first day of the legislature. The reason we failed last time, one of the reasons, was we started too late. We couldn't find a sponsor in time. We didn't know what we were doing. We finally got it introduced fairly late in the session, so when it came out of committee, about a week before transfer day. The transfer day is the day when it has to pass the first chamber, and then it gets transferred over if it passes. And we got it out of committee too late. So it ran up against transfer day, and it was too far down the list and never got voted on. So we're hoping to solve that problem by having it introduced on day one of the legislature, and we think there's a very good chance we'll be able to do that because it's being drafted right now, and we have people in both chambers, the House and the Senate, that we are talking to be sponsors. We have several who are willing to be co-sponsors, and several who we're still talking to who might be the prime sponsors. And we do have pretty good confidence that we will find prime sponsors and a bunch of co-sponsors, and mostly Republicans, so that this bill will be taken seriously, and hopefully we'll make some headway with it. So we're pretty confident that we'll get it into the committees, and we think there's a very good chance of getting it through committees and onto the floor of the Senate and of the House. So we're very excited, and that's the main reason we wanted to have this call tonight, was to let everybody know we don't have a bill number yet because it's still being drafted, and it won't get a bill number till we know who the prime sponsor is. They put their name on it, and it gets dropped into the hopper in January, and then we'll have a bill number. that we can then start talking to our representatives. We're going to want everybody on this call to be contacting your representatives, and we will obviously be sending out a lot more information as we get bill numbers and as we know who the sponsors are. We'll generate some talking points that you can all use when you talk to your legislators, and we want to start making some noise with the legislature. Now, they know who we are. The one thing that we've been going for 18 months now collecting signatures. We've gotten a lot of publicity, a lot of news accounts. It became a campaign issue in a lot of races. People talking about, do you support what Wyoming Promise is doing? So we've gotten some notoriety around the state, and people know us. And I think we have a good reputation because we've been nonpartisan. We've been very open with what we're doing, and we've done a lot of publicity around the state. So I think it's going to be a fairly easy ask when you contact the legislators to support us. It's not going to be a lot of education necessary. They know what we're about and what we're trying to do, and a lot of them have already expressed some support for what we're trying to do. So we're pretty optimistic about how this is going to work. Now, I just want to say one more thing, and then I'll open it up for anybody else to comment or ask questions. The strategy, it's actually a two-pronged strategy in the legislature. We're going to try and drop bills in each chamber. The House bill that we're going to try and drop in is basically the bill that was on the back of the petition packet, the Act to Promote Free and Fair Elections. We're hoping to find a sponsor who will introduce that intact and ask the legislature to directly enact what we were going to ask the voters to do. So if the legislature does it, we're done. We don't need to wait until 2020 for the ballot for the election. We can just get it done right now in the upcoming session. Now we recognize that part of the bill may be controversial. The piece that may be controversial is the Article 5, the call for the Article 5 convention. We are hoping to get it introduced with the Article 5 call intact, and we're going to try our best to keep that going. But we do recognize that is somewhat controversial, and there may be an effort in the committees or on the floor of the House to amend that out. We will try and resist that as long as we can, and hopefully we'll keep it in, but that's going to be part of the legislative process we're going to just have to monitor and keep in touch with. So that's the first strategy, is simply have the legislature directly enact it. On the Senate side, and we think the Senate side is a little harder for us because the leaderships of the committees, the Corporation Committee there is not as friendly as the Corporation Committee is on the House side. So we're a little more concerned about getting it through the Senate. So our strategy there is a little different. We're going to try and drop in the Senate a bill that says the legislature will put on the 2020 ballot our bill. So they're not going to do it themselves. They'll say, it goes on the ballot in 2020, and even though you didn't get enough signatures this time, we'll put it on the ballot for you, and we'll see what the voters have to say about it. So that's the other bill that we're going to try and get dropped in and work on the Senate side. Now, if the House side works and that bill gets adopted, the Senate bill becomes irrelevant. But if the House bill fails, we have a backup plan of having the Senate hopefully pass a bill and the Senate and the House concur that would put it on the ballot in 2020, which would be where we would have been had we gotten enough signatures. So those are the two thrusts, the two bills that we're going to try and get introduced and try and work them through. And one more thing I want to say is that we're trying to set it up, hopefully, with some software that we can have our lobbyists update us on a daily basis as things happen. So we're going to add into our database, into the software, all of the volunteers who we want to have make phone calls or emails or whatever we need to do to encourage our legislators to do what we want to do. Hopefully you'll be able to get direct messages from our lobbyists literally as they're sitting in the Jonah Center working the bill. If something happens quickly, you'll get immediate input from what's going on. So hopefully we'll have that solution in place before we get started. So we're excited. We think there's a really good chance here of getting this through. And with that, I'm just going to be quiet for a little bit, and I know there's questions or comments. Anybody who wants to join in, please type 1 on your keypad, and happy to hear your thoughts. And I see Christy Garrett's has her hand up. So, Christy, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you fine.
Okay. I've been part of similar efforts to Powder River Basin Resource Council, and it's extremely helpful if at the bottom of any emails they have phone numbers to call, or general email, or the website to access the email addresses for everybody, so we're not all duplicating the same work, and it's always there. And it really helps if they can do that for us. Okay.
Yeah, and we are contacting other groups like the Powder River Basin Resource Council, or other groups, the Wyoming Equality State Policy Center, other groups like that. We are starting to contact them to get them to join in and be supportive of what we're doing and express their support to the legislature. We need to be a little bit careful when we do that when we get these organizations to sign on and say they support what we're doing, that they understand that they're tucking in behind us, that we're still taking point on this. They can say they support us, but the message is still going to come through our lobbyists. We don't want to get people saying different things. So, and also, Lori Urbakite is one of the lobbyists, and she is going to be her primary client is the Wyoming Board of Realtors, and she thinks they will be one that will join in and support us. So we're starting to work on those kinds of alliances as well. Okay, so I see Angie Dancy. Angela, why don't you tell us who you are? You're unmuted, and what's your question?
Okay. Yeah, I'm up in Montana, Wolfpack, Montana, and so, we've kind of been working with you guys, so I thought I'd pop on your call and see how things are going. It's great to hear that you have potential co-sponsors and sponsors for your show already. That's awesome. Yeah, so I just wanted to mention, you mentioned Article 5, and you might have some pushback. I think that's likely. So we've got a ton of resources that you can use in defense of Article 5. So, and, I don't know if you guys still have the Wolfpack Volunteer Toolbox. Some of it's in there, but, yeah, I can just send you direct links to it all, too. So, if you need to put together some talking points for that.
Okay. Thank you, Angie. And I hope to be on your call at 8 o'clock. After this one's done, I'll try and join your call as well, because I know you have a volunteer call this evening yourself. I do want to give a shout-out to Wolfpack, too. Wolfpack has been one of our big supporters. I always like to tell people that Wyoming Promise is what you get if Wolfpack and American Promise got together and had a baby. Because we are WP just like Wolfpack, but we also have the Promise as our last name, and both American Promise and Wolfpack have been very supportive of our efforts, and we really appreciate all the help that Wolfpack has done, including sending some volunteers in to gather signatures for us. One of your Wolfpack volunteers spent a week in Teton County, and if you look at the numbers from Teton County, there's a decent number of signatures, about 500 signatures. That was mostly the Wolfpack volunteers did most of that work. So thank you so much, Angie and Wolfpack, for all the support you've given to us so far. And I'll talk to you again at 8 o'clock.
Somebody made it there.
Okay, good. All right, so now Lynn Morrison,
Ken,
Yeah, go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Ken. Two things. One, as far as communication is concerned, during the legislative session that you're talking about, Ken, I have reached out to American Promise, because what would be great would be if we had some software that American Promise has used nationally that we're able to tap into. And so they actually are working on this. They do have some software, but it's not loaded yet, but they're planning to install it by the end of the year. So I'm going to be talking with several people in American Promise, including the IT people, at the end of next week to find out about that, to see if there's a way that we can, in a cost-effective way, tap into that software so that we're able to do the things that our lobbyists said we need to do during the legislative session. So that call is happening, and as we find that out, and in subsequent volunteer calls, we will let you know about that, so that's a way of keeping in touch with your legislators during the session. That's number one. Number two, thank you, Shelby, for for your appreciation of the efforts regarding the fundraising letter. And so just want to let you know, everybody on the call, that when we decided on who gets sent the fundraising letter, we're not really by any means done with it. We do have good representation that we sent fundraising letters out to the following counties. One is Laramie County. Another one is Sheridan County. Another one is Fremont County and Hart County. And so the fact that we're getting so much back, and I believe it's almost $8,000, is that what Shelby said, and counting, is fantastic. But I would love to get, and it's not too late, for volunteers to give us some names of some potential donors particularly from these counties. Teton County would be great. Natrona County would be fantastic. And then also Campbell County would be really good. So if any of you, and if there's others of you from other counties, and you say, well, I've got the names of like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people that I could, email you over the next week, we would take that as well. So, we do need a certain amount of money for the lobbyists, but we're going to need more money than that. So if you do have names, you want to send them along to our statewide field director, Jennifer Lorenz. Her email is jennifer.lorenz, spelled LOHRENZ, @gmail.com. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. And Shelby has his hand up. Go ahead, Shelby.
Yeah, just a quick add-on to that. Wolfpack, as I've been a volunteer with them and familiar with them for at least the last couple of years now as well. They also have software and organization set up to track your legislators. So I would say, just for those steering committee folks on the call, maybe we should have a joint call between American Promise, Wolfpack, and us, and see how we might best organize that, because I know Wolfpack does have some great organization tools as far as that's concerned as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, I see that Joan Londy is also on the call from Wolfpack. Joan, can you respond to Shelby's comment? What kind of tools does Wolfpack have available that we might be able to borrow or take advantage of?
I can. Hi, Shelby. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Go ahead.
Yes.
We have a document called the Volunteer Toolbox, part of our Google documents. And within the Volunteer Toolbox, we have 2 very important areas. One is called the Legislative Contact Record. That has the name of every legislator, how you can get a hold of them. It has a link to their website, their site on the legislative website, so it shows what their bio is, what committees they're on, and so on. And then there are notes about from volunteers who have been in touch with them, what they said, what their worry was, what they worried about a runaway convention, or what were they worried about, whether they're supportive of it or not. And also in the Volunteer Toolbox, there is a packet for meeting with your state legislator. It has bullet points to learn because there are certain questions that come up over and over and over again, regardless of what state you're in, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So bullet points for you to learn so you can give cogent answers to these common questions. It has behavioral guidelines, and it has a packet to give to your legislator, which includes a copy of the resolution and a 2-page summary copy of the report to the Attorney General from the Department of Justice, which goes into the history and legalities of Article 5 conventions and explains why they can't be runaway conventions and why, no, we cannot redo the Constitution during an amendment convention.
Good, excellent. So, Joan, we have about 30 people on the call tonight. How can volunteers on our call get access to that information?
So they can send an email to me, Joan, at wolf-pack.com, or to Angie at wolf-pack.com. If they want to have a private conversation with us. They can also go to the Wolfpack website, which is wolf-pack.com, and they can do a self-learning module called the Theory of Change. So that would be found at wolf-pack.com/TOC for Theory of Change, and do a quick learning module, and then call us, and we will get them hooked up.
Okay, that sounds great. Sounds like you have a lot of assets there, a lot of tools that can be very helpful to us as we move into our legislative session. I have 2 more people whose hands are up. Angie, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead, Angie.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of dovetail on what Joan said. One of the huge benefits of the volunteer toolbox, the way it's set up, is people can kind of go in there and print off their own resources and kind of learn on their own, you know, how to talk to your legislator in a bipartisan way, and, you know, all that stuff. But then also I was thinking, Joan, we could probably share them a copy of our legislative contact record, right? So they could use that as a template for kind of what they're doing, because they would want to modify it a little bit.
Yeah, we do have some security guidelines for our legislative contact record. It's only to be given out to Wolfpack volunteers. It's not to be given out to the general public, because it does contain sensitive information about conversations we've had with our legislators. So
I just meant like a blank template, just so they can use it as a kind of a template to format theirs, just so they could see, you know, kind of how it works, is what I meant.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what you mean.
Just like make a copy of it and take out the information that was pertinent to Wolfpack, but just so they could use it as a template, because they'll want to make their own, you know, kind of legislative contact record.
Perhaps we can talk about that at the 8 o'clock call.
Okay, we'll talk more about it and
okay,
follow up on
right,
that.
yeah.
But
okay, all right. So I see Chris Corfanta had her hand up. So Chris, you are unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for that information about the Wolf Toolkit. I just want to mention that now is a great time to attend anything that your legislators are attending. If there are any, like in Sheridan County, there's a chamber forum where we get 15-minute increments where groups can come talk to their legislators, or maybe you have a legislator that you're semi-familiar with in your county and just touch base, whether via email or a quick postcard, saying, you know, why you worked on this effort and that there's going to be a bill coming up and you hope they'll support it. Just something really brief, because once the legislature starts, they get so many emails that our voice will be heard much more clearly sooner if we get their ear now and have them perk up and know that we're going to be contacting them later as well. We've been working on our legislators for a while, and I think they know that we're not going to go away. But I just don't want us all to just wait till January to start contacting them. We don't have to give them specifics, but we can sure tell them why we're so concerned and that we worked so hard, and we have a lot of experience in talking with people and the public's concerns. We can share that with them and leave it at that. So I highly encourage folks now, especially you guys who've talked to so many people and so many signatures, it'll be easy for you to talk to your legislator.
That's a great point. Yeah, we need to get started now. And we already have some talking points and things on our website right now. We can update those, and if there's anything that's missing that you would like to see on our website, please let us know, and we can make sure it's there. Well, the resources tab on our website does have a lot of information on it already that you can use to make contacts as well. Okay, thank you, Chris. Shelby, your hand's up. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was just to follow up on those great points, and thanks to the Wolfpack folks, Joan and Angie, that are on the call. A lot of the resources on our resources tab on our website, wyomingpromise.org, are generated in collaboration with American Promise and Wolfpack, so there's a lot of information you can access right now, including talking points. I know up there in Sheridan, you recently contacted me. I haven't been able to get back to your email about that letter and talking points and things, but that's a great resource to access. And we will need to be updating our website since we're moving beyond the ballot initiative into this next phase. And I want to throw out there, if there's anybody on this call that knows of anyone with good web experience or that is interested in volunteering to help update our website and overhaul it for this next push, it would be great if we could do that through volunteers as opposed to having to pay for it. So I did want to throw that out there. I know how to navigate the website and do various things, but if anybody knows anybody with web experience that would like to do that or jump on that, I would welcome that help, and I can run them through the initial stages of doing that effort. But if we don't have to pay for that, if we can get that done through volunteer efforts, that would be much. That would help our budget a lot in terms of going into the legislative session. So I'm just throwing that out there. If anybody knows, if anybody is skilled doing web stuff or knows of anybody who might be interested in volunteering for this effort in that capacity, that would be awesome. So just let me know. You can tell me at info@wyomingpromise.org or shelby.shadwell@gmail.com. Either way, just throwing that out there since it's a relevant point to throw in on all that.
Okay, thank you, Shelby. Are there any other questions, comments, thoughts? I don't see anybody's hands up right now. So any final comments or thoughts or questions? Going once. Going twice. Okay, and Vanda has her hand up now. Let me unmute Vanda. Vanda, go ahead.
Thanks, Ken. For any of you that are going to be close to Cheyenne on December the 9th, we're going to have a viewing of Dark Money. It's Laramie County Library, 1:30, and afterwards we're hoping to have like a Q&A session. And I'm working with Lori and Cheryl Lynn to make sure we have someone there. But if anyone else wants to be there, particularly from our organization, let me know. It's vanda@wyoming.com. I'm hoping we have a good turnout. I've been working on some marketing things to make sure everyone knows. And we'll be sending out another email to our local people. But since this is statewide, if there's any reason you're going to be in Cheyenne a week from Sunday, we'll see you there. That's all I have, Ken.
Okay, thank you, Vanda. And Melody has her hand up. Melody, you're unmuted.
Okay, I just wanted to go over the function for Sunday. Correct?
Okay. Yes.
It's this Sunday.
This Sunday, yeah.
At the Jonah. Right. That we get as many people. I know Marcy's there. There's a lot of people that have been to Cheyenne that come here. I hope everybody will come and join us in that photograph at Jonah.
Right. 3 o'clock Sunday, this coming Sunday at the Jonah Center. I'll have all the petitions there in boxes. If it's a windy day, I'm not going to take them out of the boxes, but we can use them and we have a photographer who's going to show up there as well. The more people around these boxes of petitions, the better, and that'll be part of our publicity going forward because we're taking it now to the state legislature, which is at the Jonah Center. So that's the idea behind the photo op. So anybody who can make it, please do so. Okay.
And
go
bring
ahead.
friends too. The more, the merrier, right?
Right. Bring your friends. Bring as many people. We want a big crowd around these boxes. So thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. And let me see. I have Margie Farias from Lander. Margie, you're unmuted.
Hi, Ken. I have two questions. One is, will that photograph that you're going to take on Sunday be available to use with a press release? And my other question, yeah? Okay, great. The other question is that film of Dark Money available to other libraries free of charge, or is that something that we pay for? I would like to try and have a viewing of that here in Lander. It would be great.
Yeah, and I'm going to unmute Vanda again. Vanda, I know it is publicly available, so how did you get it set up, Vanda, and talk with Margie?
Okay, it's a little bit complex, Margie, but yes, it's available. It's free of charge. I went to pbs.org/POV, or just put in Point of View Dark Money, and you'll get a website. And there was an email called events@pov.org, and she sent it to me, but you had to fill out a form. You have to do the marketing exactly the way they say. I've got a feedback form they have to get. But, yeah, it's available, and it is free. So if you want to show it up in your area, Margie, email me, Vanda@wyoming.com, and I'll get you connected with what I did to get it here. Okay. As I said, it's a little bit complex, but it can be done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I see Angie has her hand up, too. I think Angie has a response also about Dark Money. Go ahead, Angie.
No, I was just going to tell her that you can borrow it for free through PBS.
Okay, very good. All right, and I see Chris Corfonta has her hand up again. Go ahead, Chris. You have the mic.
We have a bunch of email addresses of just our local people that we've been contacting, and I've encouraged them to sign up on the Wyoming Promise website, but I don't think a lot have. Is there a way that I can just get you all our contacts so they can automatically get the announcements of meetings such as this, and then in the future when our lobbyists are working, then they'll be able to send it out that way.
Okay, Chris or Shelby, you're still unmuted. Can you respond to Chris?
Yeah, Chris, that's a great question, and I will say I'm reluctant of putting people on our email list that don't sign up unless they've written down something. So if they've written their information on a sheet of paper as you talk to them, I am more than happy to put them on our email list for sure. But if they haven't written it down or they haven't signed up on the website, I'm reluctant to do that, just for ethical reasons. But if they've written their names down and email and contacts saying they want to get information, please send that to me. and I will definitely get that entered and get them these kinds of emails. Also, I do want to say that I will have a recap email going out. So if you got notice of this call, you're more than likely going to get a recap email with notes and legislative contacts and everything that we needed to talk about updated there. So keep that in mind too. And you can always forward that email to folks as well. Any emails we send, please forward them, especially if they haven't written something down to sign up for our lists and things like that. And that might encourage them to sign up. And then it just takes some of the burden off of us as far as inadvertently signing people up that don't necessarily really want to be signed up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I had another thing. I was wondering if Vanda wants to tell us about the event she's scheduling in January for meet and greet legislators, so people can maybe put it on their calendar if they can make it down to Cheyenne.
Yeah, Vanda,
Thanks,
you still have. Go ahead, Vanda.
Yeah, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Yeah, on January the 18th, we just got our room at the Jonah Building so we can do a legislative reception. A year ago, we did one in the morning, but this one is even better because we've got the time from 12 to 2. They're out of session. They're roaming the hallways. And I just sent out an email to kind of a small core group to figure out what we'll do for refreshments, how we'll invite legislators. But everyone on this call is welcome to be there. It's your chance to talk to perhaps your legislator. And if not, we just need to show how strong our group is. So, again, my email is vanda@wyoming.com. And if you want to be on this little small committee where we're starting to put it together, just let me know. I'll be working with our two lobbyists, and Ken and Jane Robinette and Melody Nielsen here in Cheyenne. So let me know. But save the date. It's January 18th. It's a Friday from noon until 2 here in Cheyenne.
Excellent. Yeah, that's going to be a very important event. I just wanted to add one thing to Shelby's comment about the email list, that we already have an email list of over 700 people, people who have put their names on lists or have joined, have signed up through our website. So we have a 700 plus names on our mailing list already, and that's who's going to get our information when we start contacting folks. We've got a good list already, but more is always better. So please, if you know people who want to help out and they aren't yet signed up, send them to our website. And there's a volunteer button. You can click there, and that gets you added to our email list. And you then be in touch with everything that's going on. Okay, Shelby, you have your hand up.
I think I addressed what I wanted to say, but I want to be able to jump on maybe this Wolfpack call coming up as well. So I don't necessarily have anything else to say except just a deep sense of gratitude again, and stick with us. We're moving forward, and victory's coming up if we have enough people to stick with us. So thank you all for being on the call, and I appreciate it. And please reach out and contact me at any time if you need anything, or if I can be of any assistance as we move forward. We will have a lot of resources in our upcoming emails. And again, you can forward those to folks that may not have been aware of our effort, or may want to get involved now and may not have been involved in the past. So keep an eye out for those, and just thank you all so much for everything. That's all.
Yes, thank you. Lynn, any final words?
I want to just echo what Shelby said about a deep sense of gratitude towards everybody, and I agree, Shelby, we are definitely moving forward. We're entering into a very exciting part of the campaign. I, too, am available if anyone needs to contact me or email me. I will do my best to get a question answered for you, or if not, find someone who can answer your questions. So my email is LYNN, as in Lynn, Dragon, DRAGON 7. That's like dragon, like the fire-breathing dragon. Lynn Dragon, the number 7 @gmail.com. So you certainly can be in touch with me with any of your questions, and we're going to be excited about keeping back in touch with you as things move forward. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Shelby, and thank you, everybody who's been on the call. I think everybody on the call has my email address because I've been sending out some notices about these calls. But it's kchestic@gmail.com. And seeing no other hands, I'll just wrap it up by also echoing what Shelby and Lynn said. This is an exciting time. Even though we didn't get the numbers we wanted, it's not the end of the line by a long shot. We actually got so much information, so many people signed up that I think we've got a lot of strength going into the session. I'm very excited about our chances of succeeding here, but it's still going to take a intense effort for the next several months. As the session moves forward, we will be in touch fairly often now with updates as to where we're at with the legislature, and every phone call, every email, every contact you can have with your legislators is going to help us out. So please stay engaged with us, keep it up, and with this level of effort, we cannot fail. So thank you all so much for being on the call, and with that, I will wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.